Have you ever been so afraid that you started building your whole life around avoiding one moment? What if the fear you're running from is the only door to your future? Once upon a time, in a forgotten corner of a noisy American city, there lived a very poor teenage girl named Alina. She was 17, thin from skipped meals, and wore the same faded blue sweater every day because it hid the tear near her shoulder. She lived with her father in a small apartment above a closed grocery store. The paint peeled from the walls, the heater barely worked, and the sound of traffic below never stopped. Her father worked night shifts cleaning offices, coming home exhausted. Alina tried to help by tutoring younger kids for a few dollars, but money always disappeared faster than it arrived. At school, she kept her head down, not because she wasn't smart, but because she was terrified of speaking. She wasn't afraid of failing exams. She was afraid of being seen. Alina's fear had a name: presentations. Walking to the front of the classroom felt like walking toward execution. Her heart would pound, her hands trembled, and words vanished from her mind. In middle school, she once froze while reading aloud, and a boy laughed. Since then, she built her life around avoidance. She chose classes with fewer presentations and volunteered for written work instead of speaking roles. People thought she was quiet and responsible, but deep inside, she knew the truth. She wasn't choosing peace, she was choosing escape. One afternoon, her English teacher announced a citywide scholarship competition. The prize was full tuition to a respected university. The only requirement was a 5-minute speech about overcoming adversity. 5 minutes stood between her and a future her family could never afford. That night, she imagined her father smiling proudly at graduation. But she also imagined herself on stage, voice breaking. The next morning, she almost didn't sign up. Her hand hovered over the sheet. Then slowly, shakily, she wrote her name. If this story is touching your heart, subscribe to English Story Academy channel for emotional and unforgettable stories that help you learn English through real-life lessons. As the competition day approached, Alina practiced alone in her room. The cracked mirror became her silent audience. At first, her voice cracked and she cried in frustration. But then something shifted. Instead of trying to remove her fear, she decided to carry it with her. She realized facing fear meant standing in front of it, and challenging fear meant daring it to stop her. She stopped practicing perfectly and started practicing honestly. She wrote her speech about fear itself. On the day of the competition, her legs felt weak as she stepped onto the stage. For a moment, the old panic surged. But then she saw her father in the front row, eyes shining with belief. She swallowed hard and began. Her voice shook, but she spoke honestly. She said, "Fear doesn't leave when you ignore it. It grows, but when you challenge it, it shrinks." The room was silent, not mocking, but listening. She didn't look fearless. She looked real. Alina did not win first place. For a brief second, disappointment hit her. But when she stepped off stage, other students told her they were scared too. Even a judge said that was brave. On the ride home, she felt something unexpected: relief. She hadn't escaped. She had stood in front of the thing that once controlled her. The scholarship wasn't the real prize. Reclaiming her courage was. Life didn't suddenly become easy. Money was still tight, and her sweater was still faded. But Alina stopped choosing classes based on fear. Her voice still trembled sometimes, but she spoke anyway. Years later, when she stood at her college graduation, she smiled at the irony. The girl who once avoided 5 minutes on stage had built her future by stepping into discomfort. She understood the quiet truth. Fear is not a wall. It is a test. Moral of the story: fear grows when you run from it. Courage grows when you challenge it. Subscribe to English Story Academy channel for more emotional, interesting stories with powerful life lessons.